Hello, welcome to the Black Salt Mirror. I'm going to light a candle today. Now that there's not a dog trying to hinder my progress. There is a rune that I drew for this reading. This is chalk. And it is about the Holy Grail, and more so the quest for the Holy Grail, it says in the book. I draw the runes ahead of time because I'm still learning them, so I have to read the guidebook to know what they are. So, I have to burn the bottom end of the candle first to get it to stand up with a little bit of wax, and then I can burn the top. I always tell you not to burn the candle at both ends, but that's because one end has to have it standing. So the Holy Grail. This is a thing in legend. I always think of it as Arthurian, but I think it's a very Christian, early Christian thing. And it's represented by a cup, which is always a very feminine thing. It's kind of like the hunt for femininity. The very old religions, belief systems tend to focus on the feminine as the life giver, the keeper of the secrets, the veiled one. And a lot of that has changed over the years to become male dominance. And now, with the great shift that's happened recently to our new paradigm, we are re-hunting the feminine. However, the concept of hunting in general is a very masculine idea. It's very goal-oriented, it's very fiery, it's very doing of things. And feminine energies are very receptive. And the masculine is always seen as an arrow going forward, being passionate, making plans, executing plans, strategy, accomplishment. And the feminine is the cup, the chalice, the reception of energy, of light, of life, and the bringer of the light and the life. And you need both. This rune itself reminds me of the tree's roots below the tree, pictured here. And that's where the water comes from, right? That's what holds things in. The receptivity. It brings the water in, it brings the nutrients in. Trees expand out to then receive. They receive sunlight, they receive the nutrients that come in the water from the soil, like it's trickled down. Trees are very receptive, they're still. And they take in. And there are going to be 3 moons in this picture. You've got the red one behind the tree, you've got the one in the sky, and then you've got the reflection in the water. The 3 great moons, which traditionally have symbolized the maiden, the mother, and the crone, which are the 3 stages of the human cycle. And I say the human cycle because the divine masculine traditionally comes through this cycle with her. He is the infant that the mother births. He impregnated the maiden as his older self, and then he is the wise old man. And he goes through this cycle with her, but he needs her to give him life so that he can give the life back to her to then birth out his life again. You need the receptivity to bring new life. And birth is not a masculine quality in that it's not a doing. It's not a fiery, it's again reception. You have to surrender, you have to let it happen, you have to try to relax. But it's not a thing that women chase to do. It's, in a way, it happens. You become pregnant. You try to take care of yourself through the pregnancy. It's all very receptive. You try to maintain this calm and peacefulness to then bond with the child, which is again receptive. You have to take in a lot of information. And women go through a period of time in the middle of their life where they stop having the ability to give birth. And that is an extremely rare thing in the animal kingdom. Almost no other species do that, because the entire purpose of life is to procreate. And everything is built around that. It's one of the last things that you lose if you're sick or just as a species. All of the adaptations to malicious environments or to predation, anything that's killing off the species, the first thing that it's trying to do is maintain procreation however it can, sometimes by shortening lifespans, sometimes by creating a duality where one type of this animal looks one way. There's a story I heard about some fish when I was learning about Darwinism, and there was pollution in the lake where they were. And so the species of fish that used to be all pretty much the same developed like two different ways of being. One was like this big hardy fish that didn't live very long but could procreate really easily. And then there was like this smaller lither fish that wasn't as hardy and didn't get as big. And you want to be big when dealing with predation, because the bigger you are, the less likely you are to be eaten. But the smaller ones lived longer, and that was the immediate way. Like 10 years, I think the scientists, it just happened that this species had figured out how to continue procreating. And it worked out with the way. But there are a lot of weird adaptations. I took a lot of science. And I really liked biology. Procreation is the thing that any species is attempting, because nothing else matters if you can't keep going with it. And as is the cycle of divinity, I mean, we call it death at the end and the beginning of a cycle, which happen at the same point because it's a cycle, so it's going to go round again. I always think of the snake eating its own tail. The end and the beginning are in the same spot. Therefore, we call it death when the cycle ends, because it's all about life and procreation. And death feeds life. Most things, they die, and then other things eat them and decompose them. And it's really good fertilizer. It's how it's meant to be in cycle. So you have spent the first part of your existence up until now putting down roots. Back to this, the rune here. We have now hit a new cycle. The snake ate its tail, and it ate its tail unexpectedly because we jumped timelines. And that was intentional, but no one knew about it because it had to stay hidden. And we jumped timelines and the snake came early. And so we've hit a new loop. But the benefit of this is the element of surprise, which you usually only get once. However, it is one of the best and most effective battle strategies that you can have. You can get so much advantage with an element of surprise that no talent and no numbers and no higher ground can get you. And this is what we've done here. So we all spent a whole lot of time rooting down. There's a proverb, I think it's Mexican, that says, they tried to bury us, but they didn't realize that we were seeds. And that's what happened, is you have felt buried your lifetime, this entire time. by circumstance, by stress, by a dysfunctionality of the world around you, and a way of understanding that came to you through everyone else that you fundamentally disagree with. Like, everyone sees the world this way. This is not how it's meant to be. And you know this. You know it's not meant to be that way. And you know you have some part to play in that. However, you had to root down as a seed. And now, the winds have shifted. We have the bubble of truth, pushing out the smoke of lies and deception. And now you bloom up. Because first you have to root. And it's kind of dark, and both metaphorically and literally. And you have to take in a lot. But now you get the sun. And the sun, symbolically, is life-giving. It's always happiness. In the tarot, it's the happiest card you can get. It's the most positive card on the deck. It's got a little naked baby on a horse waving a little Yankee Doodle flag. I think he's got a feather in his hair too. And bright yellow curly hair. Like the sun behind him with the sunflowers. It's aggressive imagery. And now you get to bloom. Now you get to come out. The white horse is also in the death card. There's a lot of white horse symbolism with these cycles. I should look that up. I never thought of that before. However, I will check out why that is, that the white horse in particular shows up in these cards. Probably to do with purity because of the color white. I'm kind of hoping that there's like a really cool, deeper story behind it, but unlikely. So you are here to root out now. And you root out all at the same time. Because we're building a whole forest. I am made of metaphors, by the way. That's going to be a common thing if you stay here. I don't know if you've ever seen a felled forest or a felled field where everything's been raised and then everything starts to grow at the same time. Generally, trees of the same species will grow at the same rate in the beginning. So this is how we look. There's nothing. Then there was the timeline jump and the field was raised. I hope one of these metaphors works for you. And then we all start to grow at the same time. And it's small at first. And it's dangerous at first. Because the little plants can get trampled. They can get ripped up and eaten. They don't have the fortitude of the big trees that you really have to do a lot to kill or to fell. But because there are many of us and we grow in unison, the magic works in tandem. And we support each other in our growth, in this journey, and in the truth, because people are convinced by things that they hear from people they like, things that make sense to them, and things that they hear, particularly in repetition, especially if it's from multiple different sources. That's why in a lot of advertising campaigns, they're like, everyone's talking about this and no one's talking about it. But they're trying to put in your head the idea that you're hearing it everywhere, because if you're hearing it everywhere, then you want it. If you're seeing it every day, then you want it. There have been a number of fashion trends that I thought were really ugly at first. But then once I saw enough people with them, I was like, maybe I need some of those too. Uggs come to mind. Very warm, very ugly. And that's what's happening now, is this pinging of the energetics of growth and the magic that comes with our voices echoing back and forth, like calling. And people will hear it and they'll become curious and they'll hear it again. and they're going to hear from all the people that I like, because this collective is made up of artists. And there's a reason for that, not just because artists are the kind of people who can tap into these frequencies and metabolize them and put out things that are appealing to the human culture as it is when they need to be received. But artists are also really attractive to people themselves. They're like walking glitter. And partly because they make beautiful things, but there's a shininess to artists that people are drawn to, that people like. And this goes back to like the alienness we've all felt our whole lives, and the isolation, like the otherness and the differentness. And that's because when you stand out so much, people have to have an opinion of you. They can't think nothing of you. They can't not react to you. Like when you're that ostentatious with your presence walking into a room, they need to have a reaction. And up until this point, when you started to shine out as an artist, a lot of people wouldn't have good reactions because they didn't know how to react. They didn't know why they felt so strongly. They didn't know, like, basically why you triggered them. And not necessarily even in a bad way, but just like such a strong emotion. People then try to place it as something. Like, wow, I felt something. Why did I feel something? What was that something I felt? Maybe it's bad. Maybe I should be aware of this person. But now you get to lead the narrative. You get to say, no, this is me. I'm an artist. Look at this beautiful music that I play on my guitar. Look at these beautiful paintings that I make. Maybe you have a YouTube channel and it's like Bob Ross. That's what I saw. It's not just like that they're finished paintings, but that people love to watch you and be in your energy when you do it. And that's a significant part of this collective as a whole, is that it's about being in your energy. This energy was like the upside down. So that's like we never felt right to people. We never felt like we fit with people. We never felt like they liked us. And it's because we were already here, which is where the energy belongs. But we hadn't jumped timelines yet. So the energy felt wrong to everybody else. And they're like, what is this weird? It's like petting a cat the wrong way, you know, like, well. But now that we've shifted, this is where the energy fits. These are the colors. Orange and white, like a creamsicle. Maybe someone's drinking like one of those creamsicle beverages. So it will work now, the upside down, because the hourglass has been turned. So we're on the right side of receiving. And that's what all the suffering was for, like the banging up, and I'm seeing like hammering stone, but into a shape. Or like those sheets of metal that you hammer, and then it gives that interesting effect. So that's what it's like. All of this time being sneakers in the dryer. And now we get to receive as the collective. Because, like childbirth, art is receptive. It's feminine. It's beauty. It's taking in emotions and breathing back out. It's taking in the human experience and spitting it out as colors and shapes and sounds that are beautiful, and experiences that make people feel light pink things. If you are compelled to do multi-interactive things with your art, like where a song goes with like a feather or a rock or something that you found with a fragrance. Like I've been getting this imagery for a long time of like this binder, and each page is like a fragrance, a song, or a playlist to go with like a piece of poetry, to go with like a magpie treasure, and it all integrates together where like the art that we're all creating complements each other, and it can be experienced in like this multi-sensory thing where like you can go and you can sit and you can smell it and you can taste it and you can see things that are beautiful and you can hear things that are beautiful, but you can also touch it. Like it's a sensational experience. It's not like going to a movie. It's like sitting here and knowing what the texture of the chair feels like. It's like that. We all were on the team that created it because each one of us had this like different piece of art. And now we're a forest and they can't touch us. And we give shade to everyone. Again, feminine energy, giving shade. It's vulnerable, it's receptive. You do doing nothing. Because art is respiring. And that's the close of the message. I hope it kind of made sense. I think I'm gonna get a lot of like colors and images and like rowboats with like pink sunlight on the water. Okay, getting like a lot of that lately. Like pastel, like sunset colors. Those are the colors. Really light pastels that bleed together, but shine and stand out all on their own. And people still love sunsets. All right, I'll see you next time.